Alrighty, hi everybody, this is Robert Greenstreet at Scott Leroy Marketing. Today we're going to be working on our Placester 201 class. This is a little bit more advanced Placester class. This is going to be going past the basics of getting your site launched and getting your information into the site and ready for clients to use. This is going to get into more customization stuff like setting a custom domain, setting up site tracking, creating custom pages and blog posts. So if you're looking for basic setup information, definitely check out our Placester 101 class. Because today we're doing our Placester 201. The recordings of the 101 class and this 201 class are going to be available at slmtraining.com. I sent that over to you guys in the chat window there. As far as the chat window goes, definitely remember that if you have any questions, you can send them over to me in that chat window. If I'm moving too quickly, go ahead and ask me to slow down in the chat window. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to that. So for working with our Placester site, one little prerequisite there, if you're using Microsoft Internet Explorer as your browser, you actually need to switch your browser. You need to upgrade to a more modern browser like maybe Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox, or if you have Windows 10, Microsoft Edge, which is the browser that replaced Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer was replaced by Microsoft, or excuse me, retired by Microsoft about 2 years ago, and the Placester interface does not work at all with Internet Explorer. It just fails to load, it just shows you a blank screen. So you would want to upgrade to a more modern browser. If you're using Safari on an Apple, you should be just fine. It's just Internet Explorer doesn't work with the Placester site. Our first step is going to be to get logged into our mykw.kw.com homepage. So if you're not logged in there, go ahead and get signed in. And if you're working on switching browsers, definitely go ahead and do that. Let's see here. Normally while people are logging in, I cover that information that I did just before that, so I got a little ahead of myself. Once you're logged into your MyKW homepage, up in your top black menu, we'll hover over Technology, and then we'll click on this third one down, which is KW Websites. And then on this page, you should have a big red Go to My Website button. If you don't have this button, refer back to our Placester 101 class that tells you how to get that button. Unfortunately, there's not anything that can be done during the time of this class for that button to be enabled on your site. So definitely refer back to our Placester 101 about adding your MLS ID to the KW white pages, having your Market Center administrator do that so that the site can launch and you can get it set up and everything. Since we do have this button, we're just going to click on our red Go to My Website button. And this is going to take me into my Placester dashboard. I'll zoom in just a little bit to show you guys what that looks like. You may have some of these tiles across the top here. You can mostly ignore those. We're going to be working in Edit Site over here on the left instead under Quick Actions. We'll just go in here to Edit Site. And then on this page, most of this page is what's covered in the Placester 101 class. So we're going to be completely ignoring the first two sections here, the listing and the site design. And then one of the things also covered in the 101 was this lead capture. We're going to be starting at custom domain and then working our way down. And then across the top, we're going to go over to pages, blog posts, testimonials, and areas. But let's just start at down here at the bottom. We're going to start at custom domain. We'll click that and open it. And this is where you can either change the domain, the address of your site, or connect it to your own custom domain that you bought outside at a domain provider like GoDaddy or HostGator or KW Domain Store or Google Domains. Wherever you bought your domain, this is where you can get started to connect that custom domain to your site. In fact, if you look right here, we've got this link for step-by-step help articles. If you click on that, that's going to show you instructions for both ends of how to get your custom domain connected to your site. There's a couple of DNS settings that need to be updated on your domain registrar, so like on GoDaddy, Google Domains, wherever it is that you purchase your domain. And then you also need to add your custom domain down here in this box, including the www dot. We have some specific videos showing how to do that for certain providers, and then you've also got these instructions here from Placester, so I'm not going to go too much into depth on that. And if you do have additional questions or you need more help with that, that's actually a free service that we offer through the Market Center subscription. If your Market Center works with us, we can actually help you to get your domain connected to your KW site for free. So just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can get that set up for you. Just underneath that, it's showing us what the domain, what the website address of our site is. For KW agents, they're always going to end in either .kw.com or if you're in Canada, .kellerwilliamsrealty.ca. This first part right here, you can actually change at will. You would click edit over here on the right, and you would replace this with whatever else it is you would want to change it to. So I'd do like Scott Leroy. And then you would do check availability just to see if it's available. And this one's green. It's telling me that it is. If I wanted to change it to like my name, Robert Greenstreet, it would tell me no, that's not available because it's actually already being used on my site. So you can check the availability there. And if it is unavailable, it'll actually show you some suggestions based on your name down here underneath, and you can select either one of those as well. Once you've got one that is available and you've selected it, you would want to scroll down and click our green Save button. That green button is going to be to save everything in the Placester site. If you don't click this green Save button, whatever you just changed isn't going to be applied to the site. So you definitely have to click Save after you make any changes in the site. We'll click on that. Okay, yeah, actually I'm just going to exit this because I didn't actually make any changes. I'm going to leave it as Scott Leroy Marketing. Dropping down under that, we've got our site tracking section. In here is where you can track activity on your site. So this is what and how and when and how long, not who. The only who information, contact information, is going to come from people filling out contact forms. So if you're looking for analytics about who is on your site, they would have to complete a contact form or register or a lead capture form, something. This section is only for what were they doing on your site, which pages were they visiting, how long were they on your site, where did they come to your site from, was it a search engine, was it Facebook, was it this, that, or the other. And there's a couple of sections in here. This first section is the one that we're going to spend the most time on, which isn't really much at all. You can set up Google Analytics. Google Analytics to track the activity on your site, and that's where you get that information about what they were doing, how long they were there, which pages they visited. And that's a free service through Google. You would just go to analytics.google.com while logged into any Gmail account, whether it's your KW email or any other Google account, and you would tell it sign up, and you would just create that account, and it would give you a tracking ID that looks something like this over here. It's going to be UA-number, and a bunch of numbers after that. Whatever code that they give you on Google Analytics, you would paste into this box. And if you need help with that, that's another free service that we actually offer to agents that are in market centers that we work with. So if you, is this where your Facebook pixel will go? Yes, it is. We're actually going to be covering that in just a second. So to finish up with Google Analytics, if you'd like us to set that up for you, that is a free service through your Market Center subscription. You would just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can get analytics connected to your site. Right underneath that, we're not really going to cover much about this because this is to do with paid Google ads. This is Google conversion tracking, and if you're paying for ads on Google search engine, you can do some tracking about which people came to your site through clicking an ad, what their search term was, what you were found for, how much it costs, and things like that. We're not going to cover too much about this because that is paid, and we try not to do things that'll cost you money. And if you want more information about that, we would recommend either shooting us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com, or even better, probably reaching out to the Google Business Support team and see if they have more information about that for you as well, or Placester. They should have more information about that too. Down here, we've got Facebook pixel tracking. This is some more ad tracking. So if you've got ads going on Facebook for your business page or whatever, and you're getting leads from your Facebook page over here into your website, you can add your Facebook pixel ID here. And this is going to track what they're doing on your site once they leave Facebook after they click on that ad. For the Facebook pixel ID, they're going to give you a big, long HTML code snippet. All we need is the pixel ID in here, which is about 16-ish characters long. I've actually never counted. It's something around that long. And if you don't know what that pixel ID is or where to put it or what that code is, and you've got it from Facebook and you're having trouble, just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. We can actually get that added for you as well. We have a lot of free services there. Once you've got your tracking IDs in here, and we're not going to try to go and set up those accounts and everything, this is just if you already have that account, this is where you would put it in on your site. Once you've got those put in there, you would click Save down at the bottom just to make sure that those changes were applied to your site. There we go. And once it reloads, we're going to drop down here to site verification. This is very similar to site tracking, except this is verifying that you are the owner of this site. So you have the right to see the, what are they called? The, I can't remember the name, but that you have the right to make these changes, that these websites that Google Webmaster Tools, Google or Bing Webmaster Tools, and Pinterest are asking you to make to verify that you do actually own this site. So if you've signed up for any of these three services, Google or Bing or Pinterest, and they're requiring you to verify ownership of the site, they're going to give you a code snippet that starts with this meta name equals blah, 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 and then it'll have a little code here after content that needs to go in this box. Again, if you're not sure which part of that code needs to go in this box, just shoot it over to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com and include your MyKW username and password, and we can get this put in for you as well, free through your Market Center subscription. What was I trying to say there? So just really quickly, what Google and Bing Webmaster Tools is it's a service that looks at your site and says, okay, this is what is good and not so good about search engine optimization on your site. Here's some ways you can improve it, and it's definitely a great service to look into. We have information about the Google Webmaster Tools. If you wanted to look into that, just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Once you've made any changes here, again, you would click on your Save button to apply those changes, and it would take you back here. I'm not going to save it and wait for the page to reload again. The last one down here, this SSL certificate, SSL stands for Secure Socket Layer, and that is basically security for your site. That means you get the HTTPS up in the address bar here on your site address. This is going to be on by default for new sites. Some older sites, this may be off, and you would want to turn it on just so that you wouldn't get, and we had a lot of questions about this for a little while, and I'm glad they fixed this. On Chrome specifically, it would say not secure up in this spot because it was missing that S. It didn't have SSL applied to your site. And a lot of people were asking questions about that. Clients were asking questions about that. It's really not a bad thing that a site isn't secure if you're not submitting information that needs to be secure. But since clients are submitting information on your site that is potentially personal information, like an email address or a phone number or a physical address or something like that, it helps to have your site be secure, and that's what this does. So by default, leave this on unless it causes specific problems on your site. So if you turn this on and you save it and you go over to your site and you see it's causing some kind of error or won't load or whatever, go ahead and turn it back off and then reach out to us, and we'll see if we can work out what's going on and figure out how to fix it. But for most people, you would want to leave this on and just save it. Once we've got that saved, that's all we're going to do in the site settings section, and then we'll jump over now to pages, blog posts, testimonials, and areas. Before we do that, I do want to cover a little bit of the difference between pages and blog posts, and then between blog posts and areas. A page is a more permanent fixture on your site. It's something that always needs to be found in the same place at the same address without a whole bunch of scrolling and clicking through. Maybe something that's added to your menu or whatever. It's basically static. The information on there isn't going to change much, and if it does, it's not super often. So this would be a great place for like buyer or seller resources, or a page of your current listings, or your about page, or a contact page. Those are permanent fixtures on the site that you need to stay right where they are. A blog post is a little bit more mercurial and changeable. A blog post is essentially an article. It's as if you're writing for like a newspaper or a magazine, but you're writing on your website, and that information is going to is expected to be pushed down and moved over to the next page and the next page as new blog posts are written and posted. So say I posted a blog in December about something to do with Christmas, and then I posted a blog in January about New Year's resolutions, and then I posted a blog in February about Valentine's Day. That post from Christmas is actually going to get moved down the page, and the one from February is going to be at the top. So it's still available on your site. It can still be found, but it's going to be a little bit harder to find it because it gets pushed down the page and maybe over to the next page. So blog posts, again, are a little more mercurial, and it's information that you expect to be moved down and a little bit harder to find later as it moves on. And then the difference between a blog post and an area is you can write a blog post about a physical area, but since you have the areas section that's specifically for a physical geographic area, we wouldn't recommend that. An area page is for like a neighborhood or a subdivision or a city or a county or a state. So that's a geographical area that you're going to be writing about, versus a blog post that's more of a topic or maybe an opinion or an event that you're writing about. So blog posts are more things, areas are persons or things, areas are more about places. Those are the other two noun types over here. And then testimonials are pretty self-explanatory. You put a testimonial into your site, really easy. So we're going to start at pages. We'll click over here, and there are a couple of default pages that should have come with your site. There was a period of about 2 or 3 months where new sites didn't get these default pages. So if you're not seeing this list here, let us know and we can help you to get those added to your site. Just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. If you are seeing these default pages, there's not a lot that you need to do at this point. You may want to go edit your about page, put in your bio, put in your picture. You're welcome to do that. And you can edit any of these pages either by clicking on the title itself or on the edit button over here on the right. And then say you created some pages later on and you wanted to remove them from your site, you would just click remove over here on the right. You notice that the about and listing search page don't have a remove button. That means these pages are always going to be on your site, and that's a good thing. You want to have your about and especially your listing search page on your site, because that's the point of the site, is to be able to search for listings and favorite them and contact you about them. Definitely also recommend just leaving these other 3 default ones in here. Unless you know for 100% certain that you're not going to be blogging on your site, you may want to remove that one. This your favorite listings one here, I do want to point out before we get into creating a page, is this is what's called a client profile type page. And what this does is, if someone has registered on your site and they've saved some properties, favorited some properties, if they click on this page, it's going to show the list of the properties that they've saved on that page. So this isn't your as the agent favorite properties or favorite listings. This is your as the client visiting the site favorite listings. Okay, so really simple there. So to create a new page or blog post or testimonial or area, it's the same process. You just go to that section and you click the plus sign to create a new one. So we're going to go ahead and do that. When you create a new page, up at the top here, we've got the slug, and we'll cover that in just a second. First, I want to cover the template here. This drop down here is where you can choose the different types of pages that are available for your site. You've got your default page template, which is where you can put in essentially any kind of content that you want. If you want to put a video page on there, if you want to do, your sold listings, if you want to do a, buyer or seller resources, if you want to do a vendors page, default page template is great for that. On the About page, this one already exists on your site and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's the About page. It's where your bio and your picture go, basically. Then there's an Areas Index page where this page will list anything that you have added to the areas section here. So we're actually going to be creating one of these in just a minute, and we'll come back to that. So an index means a list. So if you've created areas, it will list them on the areas index page. Same for the blog post index. For blog posts that are created, it will list them on the blog post index page. This page is already created with your site. It was that blog page that you saw back, on the list of sites. Under that, we've got the client profile. That was your favorite listings page that we just talked about. Then we've got the contact page, which is self-explanatory. It's a contact page. And then we've got this option for custom landing page. But if you notice, as I move my mouse over it, it's actually skipping between the contact page and the featured listings page. That's because custom landing pages are an upgrade option, and you would need to contact Placester to upgrade to be able to have those custom landing pages. Our recommendation based on just this is not to do that. The landing pages that they provide are built into the site, and they can remove the menu and remove the homepage link and all of those things, so that the only thing to do on the page is to fill out the form. But if you'd rather not pay for that, we actually have some free options that we can help set up using Google Forms. We can get that embedded into the page, and it would look a whole lot like one of these custom landing pages. They would just still have access to the menu. And if you want some more information about that, just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. But if you do want to upgrade to the landing page, you would want to contact Placester directly. We don't have any information about these landing pages. That's handled directly through Placester. Under that, we've got a featured listings page. This will take the settings that you've set over here in site settings under the featured listings section, and it'll create a whole page that is just your featured listings that you've chosen over in the featured listings section. Under that, we've got the listings search page. Again, self-explanatory, that's where you can search for listings. It's already in on the site. Under that, we've got an RSS feed index. This is actually a nifty sort of newer thing that they've added to the site. Say you've got a blog in a different location, say you've got a Blogger or WordPress or an ActiveRain or something other than this site here where you've been blogging previously, and you don't want to post your blogs to that site and to this site, and you don't want to give up that old site. You can actually get the RSS link from your blog and put it in here to this RSS feed index page, and your blog posts would automatically go into this site after you post them to your other blog site. So that's really neat to do. And if you need information about finding your RSS link, definitely contact your blog provider. They probably got a help page for where to find that. It's not very hard usually. Under that, we've got Real Satisfied ratings and reviews. Real Satisfied, from our understanding, is basically the Yelp of real estate agents. It's where you can be reviewed as an agent, and if you have some reviews on there and you'd like to get them onto this site, really easy to do that. You just choose this page type, sign into your Real Satisfied account, and it'll bring over those reviews automatically into a testimonials page. Under that, this is our testimonials index. This is for this type of content up here. When you add a new testimonial, it's going to index or list them on the page, just like the blog post index or the areas index. Under that, we've got a page title. Actually, let me switch over to the default page template here. So under that, we've got the page title, and I'm going to put in test page, and you notice it actually highlighted it for me. It added that to the end of the slug. So the slug is the page's address on your site, and the slug is always going to be based on the page title. So if you want your page title and your slug to say something different, sorry, can't happen. Page title will always match the slug and vice versa. Under that, if you've got your default page template, this is your content area, and it's got your text editor up here. It's got your bold, italic, underline, bullets, numbers, indenting, add a link, add an image, add a video, left center, right align, add a tab, all that fun all that fun stuff there. You can add that to your default page template. Certain pages, like a testimonials index, doesn't have that content area, so you just can't. It would only list the testimonials on that page. And then for each and every piece of content that you create on the site, whether it's a page, a blog post, a testimonial, or an area, each and every one of them is going to have its own meta title and meta description. So let's go over what those are really quickly, or actually not very quickly at all. A meta title shows in two places. One is up here in the browser tab. You see where it says Placester right here under my mouse? That is the meta title for Placester. Over here on the left, MyKW is the meta title for MyKW. So it shows up here in the browser tab. It's also, if you go to a search engine, going to search for Scott Leroy Marketing, it's actually this blue link right here that the search engine is displaying for the link to your page. So you're telling the search engine what to show here on this blue link. A couple of rules of thumb about the meta title here. You've got up to roughly 55 characters in here before the search engine start truncating it using a, there we go, a ... just like this. It doesn't hurt anything for your meta title to be longer than 55 characters. Just know that after 55-ish characters, the person reading the search engine results won't actually see the rest of it. So that turns into the second rule of thumb for the meta title is you want the most specific, most important information up front. So we're going to create, say this is an areas index page. So let's see. There we go, communities I serve. So down here in the meta title, this would be like, I would put in something like communities I serve, which is what this page is. It's the most specific, most important. And then I would put in probably my information or Scott's right here. Oops. And then maybe a phone number. I see a lot of people put phone numbers into meta titles. It's up to you whether you want to do that. It would push anything after that a little farther to the right, maybe end up truncating it, so it's up to you. I do want to point out that on every page on your site, there is going to be a contact form on that page, so it may not be necessary to put your phone number in the meta title. It's up to you. I would do something like search homes, oops. for sale in Orlando, Florida. And then after that, I would get into the less important information like Keller Williams Realty. So again, most important, most specific up front, and then getting a slightly less important as you move over to the right. And then one other thing about meta titles is you want to be fairly consistent. So basically any page that I create, I'm going to have that page's title right here. And then after that, I would have essentially this same information here: name, homes for sale, Keller Williams Realty. So on every page, it's going to end in name, homes for sale, Keller Williams Realty. And we'll see that as I create some additional pages. By the way, if you're following along, definitely go ahead and switch this to the areas index page. And for a title, that's up to you what you want to put there. I usually put communities I serve. You could just do areas I serve, areas, around, and then, your metro area, your service area, get to know, and then whatever your service area is. I just like to do communities I serve right here. And then you can put in some page content like learn about, there's an N in learn, gosh, I can't type right now. Something like that. Yeah, it's up to you whether you put page content in or not. And then definitely get your meta title in there. And then for meta description, you've got a little bit more room here. You've got about 155 characters before the search engine truncates it. And that is the only place that the meta description shows. The meta title is up here in the browser tab and on search engines. The meta description is only on search engines. So jumping back over here to our search results, this is the meta description for our home page. It's this gray text that you're telling the search engine to display here. So again, you've got up to about 155 characters here before it truncates it. And there we go. It turns it into the ... just like that. So you can be a little bit more verbose here. This would be something like learn about the communities in and around Orlando, Winter Haven, and the entire Orlando metro area from Scott, Leroy, your local real estate resource. And you can come back and update, add to these meta titles and meta descriptions anytime that you want to. One last thing to note about this SEO section is that while this information does show on search engines, it's not an immediate change. So say we just created this page, we just added the meta title, we just added the meta description. If I were to search for this page specifically on Google, probably wouldn't show up. It actually takes up to 3 weeks for search engine changes, search engine optimization changes to update on search engines. So one little side note, tiny little rant here. If anybody ever promises you to get you to the front page of Google overnight, take it with a very, very large grain of salt. In my opinion, they're selling snake oil. If they can get you to the front page of Google, which is not likely, but if they can, they're using either unethical or potentially possibly illegal means to do it. And it will actually end up hurting your search engine rankings in the long run, especially if they're using things to get you pushed up there that actually don't have anything to do with your site. And if you want more information about search engine optimization, we actually have a search engine optimization guide that we can send you. Just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. And then we also have this video that I'm going to share with you guys, which is our SEO guide right here. There we go, sending you that video right there. Definitely watch through that. It has a lot of information about how to improve your search engine rankings, and then also shoot us the email there so we can send you the additional information as well. Where was I? So we've got our title, we've got our description in there, and then at the bottom here you can either save it as a draft. That means it'll be here in your backend, but it won't be live on your site, so nobody but you can see it. Or you can save it, which would send the page live to your site. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh, sorry, one other thing, couple of other things to cover for you. On the areas index page here, we only have this checkbox that says add this page to my menu. That's pretty self-explanatory. You check this box, this page is going to be added to your menu. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. This box is only available for when you first create a page, when you first click that plus sign. If you go back and edit a page, this checkbox won't be here. In order to add it to your menu, you'd have to do it manually over in the menu section, which we covered in Placester 101. if you need a refresher on that, definitely go check that out. And then on most pages, excuse me, and I'm not sure why it's not here on the communities or areas index page, there's a second checkbox here that says display full width. This is great for those landing pages like I was talking about that we can help you create through Google Forms. That would remove the contact form and the search form that show to the left or the right of every page depending on your theme, and it would just show the content of the page all the way across the page. So it's up to you whether you want to check that box. Again, it's great for landing pages, and we can help you with that if you want to shoot us that email. So now we're going to save our areas index page, and it's going to pop up and ask me whether I want to change my menu because this page was added to my menu. I'm going to tell it close because no, I want it right there where it is in the menu. And then now there's that new page listed in my page list here. Let's go ahead and create one more page here. We're going to do our plus sign. And for our template, we're going to choose testimonials index, which I'm not sure why that's the default, but it is the default, so you can just leave it alone. And for page title, I usually do something like happy clients. You could do testimonials, you could do reviews, you could do happy clients, you could do from the horse's mouth, you know, something like that. Your site, your menu item, you can put whatever you want to on there. And we are going to leave the box checked for add this page to my menu. And then we've got our meta title down here for happy clients. Oops. There we go. So it's up to you what you want to put in that meta title. Again, more specific, more important up front, and then less specific, less important as you move on. Happy clients are testimonials. This is Scott Leroy's site. This is what you do on the site, and then it's Keller Williams, so it's slightly less important. And then meta description, and since this is a class and it's only going to be here temporarily, here from the horse's mouth, just how great working with Scott Leroy in and around the Orlando metro area is. Oops, I've been learning Spanish. Anyway. Again, you've got that 155-ish characters there before it truncates it. Again, both of these can be longer than 55 or 155 characters. It'll just cut it off on the search engine. And then you can either save it as draft or save it. We're just going to save it to add it to the menu. We'll close that. So now if I go up here to the top right and I click on View Live Site, that's going to open Scott's site in a new tab. There we go here. Now we've got his site loaded, and here's these new menu items that we just added: communities I serve and happy clients. So these would be our areas index page here, and this page is going to be empty since there are no areas yet. And happy clients is also going to be empty because we don't have any testimonials that we put in yet. So we're going to jump over to that in just a minute. Okay, so we created those 2 additional pages, and you can create as many pages as you want. As far as we know, there's no limit. You can add as many menu items as you want. You can nest things in the menu. Definitely check out Placester 101 to learn how to do that. So you can add, you know, your buyer resources, your seller resources, your vendors, your get to know. I saw one lady who did a bunch of videos about get to know Greensboro. So all of that fun stuff you can add to pages on your site. Now we're going to jump over to blog posts, and we didn't create a blog post index because that's actually already created with your site, so we don't have to worry about that. And there are actually 4 blog posts that are created with your site as well. These are not put here by KW, they're put here by Placester. We don't put them here either. These are automatically generated with every site, and everybody gets the same blog post. So any new content is actually up to you to put onto your site. People ask us, you know, when will KW update the blog post on my site? They won't, you have to. So for a blog post, it's very similar to a page. You can edit it by clicking on the name or edit. You can remove it, or we have this additional option to view it. It'll open up a new tab showing the site, the blog post on that site. Now, one thing I want to point out in particular is this one that says relocating to the big city. Everybody should have this. Say you don't work in a big city. Say you work in Topeka. Topeka is not a super big city, or say Pensacola, where I'm from. Pensacola is not a really big city either, so you may want to either remove that one or update it to say moving to a small town, or moving to a beach city, or moving to a tourist town, something like that, and you can update the content in there as well. It's up to you whether you want to do that. We're going to go ahead and create a new blog post. We'll use the plus sign up here at the top. And creating a blog post is really, really similar to creating a page. There's a couple of additional options that we'll cover as well, but the blog post, the basics are essentially the same. You've got your title that's connected to your slug, so this is going to be test blog post, and it adds that to the slug down there. This is the address of this blog post. Then you've got your content down here, and you can make blog posts essentially as long as you want. I'm going to go get some lorem ipsum text. There we go, lorem ipsum, get me 5 paragraphs. There we go, I've got this nice blog. Lorem ipsum is some nonsense Latin text from a really old manuscript that somebody wrote a couple thousand years ago. It's used as filler text when people are building new websites, and what am I trying to say there? It's just to show what the page would look like with text in it. Nobody can actually read this. You can add, if you wanted to, let me go to the end here, you could add in some images, just like this. Choose a file. No, I want a different image. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put this one in here as well. 100% of page width, that's what I want. There we go. You can put in links in here, you can add in videos, all kinds of fun stuff, just like you can on a page. It's just, remember, this one's going to be more mercurial, push down as new content gets added. And then down here, we've got this new section, which is an excerpt and a featured image. The excerpt will show on the blog index page, which is this blog right here. So you see this short text right here, this is the excerpt. So if you leave this blank, it'll just start putting in the text of the blog post and eventually cut it off after it looks like about 300 words or 300 characters there. So you can leave this blank if you want to, or you can give it a short description of what's going to be found on this blog post. I usually do for the class, this is test blog post to show the Placester 201 class. Easy peasy. Then you got this featured image, which is also going to be on the blog index page. It's this image right here that shows before they click through to the blog, and it's also going to be shown at the top of the page on the blog page. So we're going to add an image right here, choose a file, upload this image, and that's what it's going to apply there in that section. And then again, we've got a meta title and a meta description down here for the blog post. Remember, everything you create on the site, whether it's a page, a blog post, a testimonial, or an area, has its own meta title and meta description. So this would be test blog post blog. Oops. That's what it is. Blog is what it's under. It's under Scott. Oops. Gosh. Leroy. Search homes for sale in Orlando, Florida. Keller Williams Realty. And then for the meta description on blog posts and on, what are we talking about, testimonials and areas, basically anything that has an excerpt, I usually recommend just copying the excerpt down to the meta description, because usually if somebody sees the excerpt, they're not going to see the meta description, and vice versa. If they saw the meta description in the search engine, they're not going to end up on the blog index page and see the excerpt. But even if they do, it's not really going to hurt anything because that's kind of what they expect to see. So I typically recommend using the same thing for the excerpt and the meta description. Once you've got all that information in there, you can again save it as a draft to be published later, which is a great recommendation for people that want to get on a schedule for blogging. In our search engine optimization guide, which again we can send you, just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. We mentioned blogging and doing it a minimum of once a week at the same time on the same day. So say I decided I'm going to start blogging every Friday at about 10 a.m. It's Wednesday and I'm writing this blog post. I can save this as a draft and then come back on Friday at 10 and then save it or publish it and send it live. I can have it saved here in the back end so I don't have to worry about trying to type it and find the time to type it up. On Friday, I can just come in, click publish, boom, it's on the site at the same time every week. Now, I do want to point out for the blog system here in Placester, there is no way to schedule posts to be sent, posted later. I believe it might be an option in the upgrade package, but that's up to you whether you want to check that out. Definitely contact Placester directly to see if that is an option. I know they have an auto-publish system where they provide blog posts for you, and those will automatically post every X often, whatever you set it as. But for content that you write, I'm not sure that there is a way to schedule them out. So it's up to you whether you want to use that blog platform. I'm going to go ahead and publish this, so it'll end up live on the site. So now we've got that test blog post there. If I go over to my blog index page here, now I've got that new blog post. Here's my excerpt. There's the title. There's that featured image. If I open it up, now I've got my lorem ipsum text here. Here's that title and that featured image and that image down there. So fun stuff. Blogging is really neat on your site, really easy to do. Go back to our Placester interface. We just finished up blog posts. Now we're going to jump over to testimonials. Very similar to creating a page or a blog post. Now there are no testimonials brought in by default from your site because nobody has written any testimonials on your site yet. So they wouldn't know where to get any testimonials from. So to create a new one, you would click the plus sign right here. And again, it's very similar to creating a page, except now we've got a couple more additional options, and we'll cover those in just a second. So we've got our slug that's connected to the title. So this would be our testimonial. And this can be anything that you want it to be, this buyer never thought they'd find the perfect home, or this seller never thought they would get their asking price, something like that. And then you can paste in their testimonial down here. So if they emailed you a testimonial, if they submitted one on Google, on Yelp, on Zillow, anywhere, those are your testimonials. You can actually copy and paste those over to your site pretty much anytime that you want to. It's your content, your testimonial. You can do what you want. Excuse me, you can again do all of that formatting stuff here in the testimonial. I'm going to get just a real short lorem ipsum here just to show what that would look like. And then under that, we've got this field for referrer. This is basically that person's name, the person who gave you the testimonial. So this would be like Sally Seller, Betty Buyer. If it's a vendor, so-and-so from such and such. This will be, Sally, Seller. And then for affiliation, this is what type of testimonial have they sent in for you. So was this a buyer? Was this a seller? Was this a vendor? Was it a co-broker on the other side of the deal? Whatever type of testimonial this would be a seller. And then for certain themes, including the two themes that are KW specific, the Madison and the Madison Metro, you can show a couple of testimonials on your home page without people having to go over to the testimonials index page. So you can choose whether this testimonial is one of those that needs to be featured on your home page. I'm not sure how many you can feature on your home page. I think it might be as few as 2 or maybe as many as 4 or 6. But keep in mind that newer testimonials that you check this box for are going to push down older testimonials that already have this box checked. So it's up to you whether you want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do that for example here just to show you what that looks like. Again, we've got an excerpt. So this is a testimonial for what's that called? Placester 201. And then again, you've got a featured image here. This is a great place to say this is a couple that bought a house from you or sold a house with you. Where are we here? Testimonial. And you've got their picture and you've got permission to post their picture. You can definitely upload their picture here. If you don't have their picture or you don't have permission to, guess what? You can post the picture of their listing that they either bought or sold, because if it's your listing, those pictures belong to you. And if it was they were a buyer, that listing is public on the MLS. You can use that picture as well. Easy peasy. And then under that, we've got our meta title and meta description again. So let's see, happy seller, testimonial, Scott Leroy, search homes for sale in Orlando, Florida, Keller Williams Realty. And then just like on the blog post, I can definitely recommend copying the excerpt down to the meta description as well. And just like a page or just like a blog post, you can save it as a draft to be published later, or click save to send it live on your site, which is what we're going to do. So now if I come to my happy clients right here, now I've got this list here of my testimonials and only one is listed. Here's my excerpt that I put in. And again, if you don't put in an excerpt, it's going to put in the text of the testimonial up to a certain point and then it'll truncate it. So you don't have to have an excerpt. And if I click on the, not the picture, if I click on more or on, I guess it has to be more. If I click on more, it's going to take me to the full text of that testimonial with a bigger picture of, whatever that testimonial was. Jumping back over to our Placester interface, we're going to go to our last section here, which is areas. Areas is probably the most complicated part of what we're going to cover today. It's similar to a page, but there's a lot more additional fields, a lot of sections in here, and we'll get a little bit more into detail on that. There's a section in that SEO guide that I sent you guys over just a little while ago that goes more in detail about how to write an area page in particular, and I also talk about a template in there for writing an area page, and I'm going to send you guys the link for that. Give me just a second. Okay, area page template. There we go. There's the link for that area page template. It's basically a fill in the blank, and you can just put that into the area page here on Placester. Oh, I forgot to send you guys another link. When I was talking about those custom landing pages, those free landing pages from Google Forms, there we go. I've got that sent over to you now as well. So those are those 3 links I was going to send you guys. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I have those pulled up. I just forgot to send them to you. Okay, where was I? So area pages. We're going to create a new area page. We'll click our plus sign right here, just like on pages or blog posts or testimonials. And there are a lot more fields in here. You'll notice there's a lot of boxes, a lot of buttons. We're going to go through each of these. Starting at the top, again, we've got our title that's connected to the slug. So test area, or I'll call this test neighborhood. And then for type of area, it's pretty self-explanatory. Is it a county? Is it a region? So is it part of a state, maybe multiple counties? Is it a locality, which it doesn't say city here because there are towns, there are townships, there are incorporations, there are this, that, and the other. So it means city or town or township, but it says locality. So that's, if you're looking for a city, that's locality right there. Postal is a zip code or a postal code in Canada. And then neighborhood, which is again self-explanatory. For most things, and I cover this in that SEO guide as well, for most things I'm going to recommend not going much bigger than a locality. You can do a county, maybe if you live in a small county, one that's not super popular, super well written about, but I definitely wouldn't do a region or a state. I guess there isn't state in here. I would stay at city or smaller if I can. Zip code is even still kind of pretty big. Normally, most often I would just recommend neighborhood, because you're going to want to write about specific neighborhoods, specific subdivisions, and I cover why in that search engine class as well, and that was that first link I sent you. Under that, we've got the name of the area, and these are, what's the word? Brought in from your MLS. So these are actual neighborhoods that are in your area from the MLS. So I'm going to do, let's see, what am I going to do here? Oh, apparently these aren't just neighborhoods. This is every MLS defined area. I'm going to do, we'll just do Arkadelphia. I have no idea what Arkadelphia is. I think it's like a city region type deal, but we're just going to leave it in there. Again, those are defined by the MLS, and you just choose whichever one it is that you're writing about. And then for default sort, what this means is that at the bottom of your area page, it's going to show listings from the MLS in that area. So you're just telling it, how do I want to sort those listings that show at the bottom of the page? So if you're working with, say, you're writing on a new development, a new subdivision, you may want to do that with days on site newest or year built newest. If you're writing about historical neighborhood, you may want to do year built oldest. If you're writing about luxury neighborhood, you may want to do price highest. If you're writing about maybe some flippers or a industrial complex or something like that, you might want to do price lowest. It's up to you how you want to sort that. I'm going to pretend this is a historic neighborhood, so I'm going to do year built oldest. And then this checkbox right here is for the, what is that called? The areas index page. You can check this box and this area will be shown at the top of the page no matter how many new areas you add. So these are just like blog posts. New areas are going to push down older areas. So you can check this box to show it at the top of the page. Now keep in mind, just like on the testimonials, if you check this box to feature it, if you add a new area and you check that box on that one as well, it'll push down this older area. They'll just still be shown at the top of the page. It's just that new one will push down the older one. And if I'm not clear on that, just let me know. I think I got it, but anyway. So we'll just check that box just to see what it looks like. Scroll down here to the slideshow section. This section is pretty cool. It's a little different from the slideshow on the homepage in that we haven't found that there's any kind of limit for the number of images that you can add. On the homepage, you can only have a maximum of 5 images. Here, we've uploaded, I think, as many as 10, and it didn't cut us off. So I'm going to add, let's see, area page slideshow. So I'm going to add all of these here. Now, jumping back really quickly to the blog posts there, blog posts do better when they have images in them, especially if they have a featured image. So adding more images to your site, to your blog posts, to your pages is always going to be a good idea, but you can't just willy-nilly go to Google and search for images to use on your blog. Most of those images are going to be copyrighted, and the people that own the rights to use those can come after you legally for fees for using that. If you want information about how to find free images to use on your site, let me look that up actually. I forgot to look that up for you earlier. There we go. I'm going to send this free images for your website. There we go. And if anybody's watching this in a recording, we can send you all those links. Just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Okay, so be careful about what images you're using on your site. Make sure you have the rights to use them. Got these images up here. Down here in page content, we've got a headline. This is going to show fairly big underneath the title on the site, so I'm just going to call this section 1. There we go. And then we got some body copy. I'm going to put in some lorem ipsum here, just to show you what it looks like. Then we've got a separator image here. This is uploading one image that's going to be shown across the full width of the page. So I'm going to do this flower right here. Then we've got a subheader. This is for the second section, so section 2. Then we've got some lorem ipsum we can put in there as well, and your content can be as much or little in here as you want to. If you leave these blank, it's just going to leave them blank on the page. Nobody's going to even know there's a section there, whether unless you want them to or not. Then we've got these 2 pictures that it's going to show side by side on the page. So one is going to go on the left, one is going to go on the right. Typically, they're better to do a vertical portrait orientation. It does say they should be 300 pixels wide. That's an at least number. If it's wider than 300 pixels, it'll just shrink it down. But if it's smaller than 300 pixels, it'll blow it up and it'll look grainy, blurry. So at least 300 pixels wide. Under that, we've got another subheader for the third section. And then some more lorem ipsum text there. And this is the last section, and there is no final image to show here at the bottom. Again, we've got an excerpt, and I'm going to leave it blank this time just to show you guys what it looks like when it brings over the body content. We've got a featured image here. For featured image, I typically recommend using the first image that you put in the slideshow here, but it doesn't have to be. It can be whatever image that you want to use. I'm going to, I had a separate one for that, right? Maybe not. I'm just going to put this featured image in there again. There we go. And then again, we've got a meta title and a meta description. So this will be, what did I call this? Arkadelphia? Areas or communities I serve. Scott Roy. Search homes for sale in Orlando, Florida. Keller Williams Realty. So you notice I've kept the same structure basically across all of the things that I created, going from most specific, which is this one specific page, and then here's the section that it's under, communities I serve, and then here's my site that it's under, Scott Leroy Search Homes, blah, 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 and then I'm under Keller Williams. So most specific, most important, to least specific, least important. And then again, we've got our meta description, and since we don't have an excerpt, let's go ahead and type one up here. This is a test area, for Placester 201. And then again, just like with a page or a blog post or a testimonial, you can save it as a draft to be posted later, or save it to send it live to the site right now. So if I go, let's go ahead and go over to Scott's homepage really quickly just to show you a couple of things. If I scroll down just a little bit, here's that testimonial that's showing here that I chose to show featured on the home page. So here's that testimonial, and a second one would show on the right if there was another one that I checked to show on the home page. And then from the blog section down here, since there are additional blog posts, this is the newest one that's going to be bigger right here. As I post new blog posts, this one's going to go over here, and then down here, and then down here as I post newer ones. If you delete all of your blog posts, this section won't show on your homepage, so you don't have to have a blog section on your homepage. It's up to you. And then if I go over to my communities I serve up here in the menu, this is my areas index page. So here's that featured image, here's that title that we put in, and since we didn't put in an excerpt, this is just showing the content of that page, and it ended up cutting it off with this ... right here. And I can click on this image or the title or the read more, and here is that area page right here. We've got these images that are going to slide through across the top here. Eventually, there we go, come on. Whatever, you get the point. We've got this one full width section separator image. We've got these two side-by-side section separators. And then we've got the listings that are in that area. Apparently there are some listings in Arkadelphia. And this is showing them by year built oldest, which is apparently going to be land. Let's see, are we ever going to get into any actual listings? Well, there's 8 pages, so probably. So that is area pages. Yeah. So that's basically it for our Placester 201. If there are questions, feel free to shoot them over in the chat window there. I'm going to leave the recording going for another minute or two for anybody who has questions. If you have a question and you're too scared to ask, odds are somebody else has that question as well. So feel free to shoot over that question in the chat window. If there was something that I didn't explain fully or you weren't clear about or you wanted more information on, just send that over in the chat window. I'll leave it open for about a minute. If no questions do come in, that'll be the end of the recording and you guys can go about your day. But for now, I'll just leave it open.